anywhere close in sight?
I don't know, but I just know that we ought to keep the stance that we have. I don't think that the WNBA is in a unique position where we probably have the most eyes and support that we've ever had, and it's not even players a lot of times that have to debunk the things that the league is putting out. The fans and the people who care are doing that for us. You put an article out saying one thing is the case, they break it down 5 different ways as to how that is actually inaccurate. And so we're in a unique position.
That right there is Sydney Colson, 11-year WNBA veteran, telling fans not to believe what the league is putting out, and she's not being subtle about it. The WNBA Players Association is actively encouraging players to reject the owner's proposal while we're sitting here on February 18th with training camp just weeks away. No deal, no draft, no free agency. And if you're wondering whether this is just negotiation theater, the answer is no. This is a full-blown crisis that could erase the entire 2025 season. Here's what makes this different from typical labor disputes. The WNBA just came off its most-watched season in 23 years. Caitlin Clark's rookie campaign brought 3.2 million viewers to that Fever Sun playoff game. Angel Reese, Paige Buchers, Cameron Brink generated more mainstream attention than the league has ever seen. For the first time in history, college basketball fans actually followed their favorite players into the professional league. The momentum is unprecedented, and the players are about to burn it all down.
The truth is, they see what the truth is, and we see what we deserve, and the people see what we deserve. And so
now I want to stop it right here real quick. I'm not saying that the women don't deserve $1 million contract, because they definitely do, but they don't deserve the 30% revenue. As much as I love watching women's basketball during the season and covering it, it's a fun thing I've been doing for the last couple years. Do I believe they deserve their money? Hell.
Colson says fans are doing the work for them, breaking down the league's statements and exposing inaccuracies. That's a veteran player openly claiming the league is lying to the public, not spinning, not framing, lying. When your own players are telling fans not to trust the organization they work for, you've got a problem that goes way beyond salary negotiations. The core issue is revenue sharing. The players want 30% of league revenue split among them. The owners are calling that proposal unrealistic and warning it would create hundreds of millions of dollars of losses. Now, before you pick a side, understand what 30% actually means. NBA players get 50% of basketball-related income. That's the standard in professional basketball. So the WNBA players aren't asking for parity with their male counterparts. They're asking for 60% of what NBA players get.
But people have to understand that you're doing this for people after you too. In our last CBA, we did a poor job of taking care of, the stars and the rookies did well. The people all in between, a lot of people were without jobs when really they should have been on rosters. You can argue. And so I'm hopeful that people remember the position that we were in before, and they make sure to not repeat any of the same mistakes.
You talk about leaving a legacy, and you've certainly done that on and off the court. I can't literally list all of the things that you do, Sydney, but one thing that is new and I'm really excited to see is you're going to be on the broadcast team for Athletes Unlimited. What are you looking forward to most in this role?
I'm really excited.
Well, something else that has been a challenge.
That clip reveals the deeper tension here. Colson admits the last CBA did a poor job taking care of middle-tier players. Stars got paid. Rookies got their standard deals. Everyone in between got squeezed off rosters. She's saying veterans who should have been locked into roster spots were cut because teams couldn't afford to keep them under the old salary structure. That's a legitimate grievance, but here's where the strategy falls apart. The veterans are using Caitlin Clark's popularity as leverage, while simultaneously resenting that they didn't get this kind of attention during their primes. You can hear it in how Colson frames the argument. She says this negotiation is about the players who are in the league now, but also people after you. That's code for, we deserve to benefit from the Clark effect even though we didn't create it. And that's where the generational divide becomes a problem. Clark is going to sign a $1 million shoe deal whether this season happens or not. Her Nike contract doesn't care about the CBA. Paige Buchers has generational wealth waiting for her the moment she goes pro. Cameron Brink already secured major endorsements before her ACL tear. These rookies and second-year players are financially insulated in ways that veterans never were. So when Sydney Colson tells young players not to sign the owner's proposal, she's asking them to sacrifice their rookie seasons for a cause that primarily benefits veterans. That's a tough sell when you're Caitlin Clark and you just want to play basketball.
Contractor are about to sign, $1 million deal, like you have to find a place to live. So I think that's actually probably the more interesting point, that there should be maybe some sort of grace period for housing if it is in the CBA that only certain players receive it.
It makes sense. It does. But, the question is, what does it mean? Honestly, I think it's okay to say, I don't know. That's kind of where I fall. Like, I don't know. We'll see. And if you're a WNBA fan that's grown frustrated by this entire process, how long it's been drawn out, the fact that it's been, very public back and forth between the Players Association and the league.
Now, we're getting into the media coverage of this mess, and notice how the Yahoo Sports panel is expressing frustration with both sides. That's significant. These are people whose jobs depend on WNBA content, and they're openly saying they don't blame fans for being fed up with the process. When your media allies start turning on you, you're losing the public relations battle. The timeline is brutal. We're supposed to have 2 drafts completed before training camp. The 2025 WNBA draft is scheduled for April 14th. The expansion draft for Golden State has to happen before that. Free agency needs to open so teams can actually build their rosters. None of that can happen without a CBA in place. And we're sitting here in mid-February, with the 2 sides further apart than they were in January. Adam Silver, NBA commissioner who oversees WNBA operations, said publicly that we're in the 11th hour. That's corporate speak for this is about to implode. Silver doesn't make dramatic public statements unless the situation is genuinely dire. The fact that he's commenting at all tells you the NBA ownership group is getting nervous about losing an entire season of momentum.
Statement, they, in response to the counter proposal, the WNBA said, quote, "The Players Association's latest proposal remains unrealistic and would cause hundreds of millions of dollars of losses. For our teams, we still need to complete 2 drafts and free agency before the start of training camp, and we are running out of time." They feel it. We feel it as fans. Are the players feeling?
The league's latest statement is worth examining closely. They're not just saying the players' proposal is expensive. They're saying it would cause hundreds of millions of dollars of losses. That's plural. Multiple hundreds of millions. Even if that's an exaggeration designed for negotiation purposes, the math doesn't work at 30% revenue share. Here's why. The WNBA generated approximately $200 million in revenue during the 2024 season. That's a significant jump from previous years, driven almost entirely by Caitlin Clark's impact on ticket sales, merchandise, and television ratings. 30% of $200 million is $60 million split among roughly 144 roster spots. That's an average of about $417,000 per player before you account for the salary structure that pays stars significantly more than role players. Now factor in that the league also has to pay for arena rentals, team operations, coaching staffs, medical personnel, travel, marketing, and league office operations. The NBA subsidizes the WNBA to the tune of tens of millions annually because the league doesn't turn a profit. Asking for 30% of revenue when you're already operating in the red is mathematically challenging. But the players have a counter-argument, and it's not without merit. They say the WNBA has been undervalued and undermarketed for decades. They argue that if the league invested properly in promotion and took the sport seriously, revenue would be substantially higher. The Caitlin Clark effect proves their point. One generational talent with proper marketing support increased viewership by triple digits in a single season. Imagine what happens if the league actually commits resources to building stars instead of just hoping they emerge organically.
Back with another video, so it looked like WNBA veterans is pretty much sending smoke signals to young players and rookies, telling them not to sign the owner's proposal. Now, I told y'all the other day exactly what was going down. I told y'all this whole CBA thing is all about the veteran players thinking they should get what they deserve. Now, mind you, these young players like Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Cameron Brink, Angel Reese, and many others gave y'all notoriety that y'all have never had before. Hell, this is the first time.
Go back and watch that opening again. This is a content creator, not a league official, explaining how veterans are sending smoke signals to rookies. That phrasing matters. Smoke signals, not official union communications, not transparent organizing. Smoke signals, secret messages, backroom pressure. That tells you the Players Association knows they have a problem. If veterans were confident that rookies would naturally side with them, they wouldn't need to send smoke signals. They'd just vote. But they can't risk a straight vote, because players like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Cameron Brink might look at this proposal and say, I just want to play, I'll make my money through endorsements, let's accept something reasonable and get on the court. The creator in this clip is frustrated because he sees what's happening. He says these young players gave y'all no deride that y'all never had before. Translation, Caitlin Clark delivered ratings and attention that veterans couldn't generate in 15 years of trying. And instead of capitalizing on that momentum, the veterans are using it as leverage to secure payouts for themselves. He's not wrong. This is the first time in WNBA history that casual sports fans actually care about the league. The first time ESPN is running WNBA highlights on SportsCenter without it feeling like a diversity checkbox. The first time bars are showing WNBA games because customers are actually asking for them. And the players are about to throw it away because they can't agree on how to split a pie that finally got big enough to matter.
Yeah, they deserve their money. But do they deserve 30% of the revenue? No, they deserve like 15 to 18%. I can see that, bro. I don't know why they just won't settle from anywhere from 15 to 18, 18 being the cap, 20 kind of pushing it, 20 anything to 15 to 18%. Sign the deal, get it done, give us back women's basketball. Let us see Caitlin Clark hitting logo threes, but it don't look like that's going to happen. Let's finish listening, man.
Here's what actually happens if there's a lockout. Caitlin Clark doesn't suffer. She'll go play in Europe for 6 months, make $500,000, and come back with an even bigger international profile. Angel Reese will do the same. Paige Buchers will delay her draft entry and spend another year at UConn building her brand. The rookies and young stars will be fine. You know who gets destroyed? The veterans. The 30-year-old role players who need roster spots to keep their careers alive. The coaches who are on one-year contracts and can't afford a season without income. The beat reporters who cover WNBA as their primary job. The arena workers who depend on game day employment. The small business owners near arenas who see revenue spikes on game nights. A lockout doesn't hurt the people with leverage. It devastates everyone else. And here's the thing about public perception. The WNBA has spent 2 decades asking fans to care, begging for attention, pleading for respect. And the moment they finally get it, the moment casual fans are actually tuning in and buying tickets and arguing about the league on social media, the players shut it down because they want a bigger cut. That's not a good look, fair or unfair. That's how it will be perceived. The narrative will be, we finally gave them attention and they canceled the season. That's catastrophic for long-term growth. Because those casual fans who started watching because of Caitlin Clark, they're not going to wait around for 18 months while the league sorts out labor disputes. They'll go back to watching the NBA and college basketball and forget the WNBA exists. The veterans keep saying this negotiation is about leaving a legacy for the players who come after us. But what legacy are you leaving if you destroy the momentum that finally made the league relevant? What are you handing to the next generation if you burn down the house while fighting over who gets the master bedroom? Sydney Colson is right that the last CBA failed middle-tier players. That's a real problem that deserves to be fixed. But the solution isn't to demand 30% of revenue when the league can't afford it. The solution is to negotiate something in the 15 to 18% range, get back on the court, and ride the Caitlin Clark wave to even higher revenue over the next 3 years. Then, when the next CBA negotiation comes up in 2028, you're bargaining from a position of strength with a league that's actually profitable. Instead, they're choosing to fight this battle right now, at the worst possible moment, when they finally have public support and mainstream attention. It's strategic malpractice. And the content creator in that opening clip knows it. He's saying, take the deal, get on the court, capitalize on this momentum while it exists. Because momentum doesn't last forever. Ask any athlete who waited too long to cash in on their prime. The WNBA had a moment, a genuine cultural moment where people cared. And if this lockout happens, if the 2025 season gets canceled or delayed, that moment will pass. Fans will move on. Sponsors will redirect their budgets. Television networks will fill the programming slots with something else. And when the league finally comes back, whenever that is, they'll be starting over from scratch. That's what's at stake here. Not just money, not just this season, the entire future trajectory of the league, because you don't get many chances to break through into mainstream consciousness. The WNBA got one, and they're about to waste it. So no, I don't think the players deserve 30% of revenue. Not because they're not talented, not because they don't work hard, but because the math doesn't work, and the timing is catastrophic. Take 18%, get back on the court, build the league into something that can actually afford to pay everyone properly. And then in 3 years, when you're negotiating from a position of strength instead of desperation, ask for 25%. That's how you build a sustainable league. That's how you leave a legacy. not by burning everything down in pursuit of a deal that's going to bankrupt half the franchises and alienate the fans who just started paying attention. But that's not what's going to happen, because the veterans are dug in, the owners are dug in, and neither side seems willing to blink. So yeah, there's going to be a lockout, and it's going to damage this league in ways that take years to repair. If you think the players are right to hold out for 30%, drop a comment and explain how the math works. If you think they should take a smaller deal and get back on the court, let me know. And if you're just tired of watching the WNBA shoot itself in the foot every time something good happens, hit that like button, because I know I'm not alone in that frustration.